Virtual Green Convene of 2020. This is also the second collaboration between the Louisville Sustainability Council and the Louisville Climate Action Network. We're excited about this, and it's been a lot of fun to work together to bring some content around these past two Green Convenes. We look forward to future collaborations. A little bit about the Louisville Sustainability Council. You'll hear us refer to LSC quite frequently. That's the Louisville Sustainability Council. I'm Michelle King. I am a board member of the council, and today, along with Julia Murray, our program manager, I'll be hosting today's Solar Green Convene. LSC's mission statement is, the LSC connects communities, convenes strategically, and creates programs, events, and resources for a sustainable and equitable future. Like I said, we're partnering today with the Louisville Climate Action Network, who goes by the great acronym LCAN, because Louisville can, right? So LCAN, that network, they are working together for a healthy climate, operating efficiently on sustainable energy, which is equitably distributed and used. And LCAN offers reliable consumer information through their website and classes, as well as free customized programs showing ways to reduce Louisville's carbon footprint, and advocates for smarter public policies to reduce carbon pollution and cut costs. So as you can see, these organizations really have some parallel missions around sustainable future that is an equitable one, where we all enjoy the benefits of the sustainability efforts. So to give folks an idea of where we're going today, this is today's event agenda. As you can see, we've pulled together a lot of great resources. Locally, we have some great expertise in Louisville on these topics. So that's one of the goals of the Green Convene, is to bring people together and present this information and have discussions around it. So in order to get through this packed agenda, we're going to ask folks to save your questions for and discussion for the 30-minute Q&A session at the end. But I want to encourage you to feel free to go ahead and put those questions in the chat box as they occur to you, if you don't want to forget them, or write them down. And that's where we'll start when we get to the end of the presentations and get into that 30 minutes of panel discussion. So we should have a good amount of time there for all of the different questions. Oh, I'm sorry, I see someone asking, can you not see the screen I'm sharing with the agenda up? I'm meaning to do. You can?
I can, yeah.
I can see your screen, Michelle.
Okay, Joey, I'm not real sure what's going on.
If he's in the regular tab that shows the Zoom thing, it won't work. But if he toggles, he should see the Zoom. It looks like an app in a sense, where he should be able to see it there.
Okay, that's good advice. I'm not sure if I can much help. And seeing our poll results, looks like we've got a lot of folks out there that have been there, done that. So thanks for the tips from Sarah Lynn, and feel free if you see other questions from some of our newer users to offer some help over there in that chat box as well. So Joey, I'm glad we've got you on board. So I'm gonna go ahead and this is a really good transition to Julia, who is going to present some quick tips for our users on how to participate and have a smooth green meeting. Julia?
Thanks, Michelle. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's nice to be connecting with everyone, even from a distance. Based on the poll that we just launched, most of you are at least a little bit familiar with Zoom. So let me just run over some basics with you. We're gonna leave everybody on mute for now. It's up to you whether you want your video to be up or down, doesn't matter for now. We are gonna be recording. What will be recorded is the main speaker and the screen that they're sharing. So during Q&A, that will be recorded as well if you choose to have your video up, but just please leave yourself on mute to minimize distractions until the Q&A when you're interacting. Other than that, to chat, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see Security Participants Chat Share Screen. To the left of the green share screen is chat. So if you just click on that, it should open up a group chat. If you want to send a private chat to one of us asking for help, or if you have a specific question where it says to, and it should automatically default to everyone, you can just click that and find the name of who you'd like to private chat. Other than that, it'll just default to everyone. So like Michelle said, if you have a question or a comment during a presentation, just throw it into the chat box. People can interact with you there, and we'll address all of the questions at the end. Other than that, I will be posting a couple polling questions around the beginning and the end. Super simple, just click your answer and I will share the results at the end. There's not much more you need to do with that. So those are the main things for you. Just leave yourself on mute, please. Chat if you have a question. And if you need any additional help, just private message me and I will try and get it sorted out. Other than that, everyone enjoy. This should be a really awesome Green Convene.
Thank you, Julia. It's nice to have an able pilot at the helm. So she's going to get us through this great technology and through our event. So why a Solar Green Convene? I imagine most folks on this call have some reasons in mind why they're interested in solar. But we wanted to put out a few of those ideas just to set the stage for our conversation today. And I wanted to just remind folks again what Julia just said. This is going to be recorded. So if you see something and don't get quite all of it or don't get all your notes together, you'll be able to come back and watch it. We'll also post these slides to the Green Convene event page. So if you see some links in these slides and you want to go back and explore those more, you'll have that opportunity, and it'll be really easy to do so from the Green Convene event page on this LSC website. So first of all, why Solar Green Convene? Because solar energy is an essential step in reducing greenhouse gases and stemming this tide of climate impacts that are threatening our world. There's any number of different ways that we can look at how climate is impacting us. And in fact, we're going to be talking more about that later on today in ways that are very specific to Louisville. But just overall nationally, about a third of our energy-related CO2 emissions come from fossil-fueled electric power plants. That doesn't even include the propane, the natural gas, and the other fossil fuels that heat and power our buildings. And so when you roll that here to locally, you take a look at how Louisville, here in a very heavily fossil-fueled area of the nation, gets its power. About 80% of our greenhouse gas emissions result from the use of electricity and other fuels. So this is, solar has a huge potential to impact our greenhouse gas emissions and stem climate impacts. Aside from those greenhouse gas emissions, fossil fuel energy also results in a great deal of air pollution and leads to a wide range of health impacts. So that's everything from pollutants like fine particulates and sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, which is a precursor to ozone pollution, something that we struggle with here in Louisville. We're not attaining that health-based national standard. And all of those pollutants, the largest source here locally is fossil fuel combustion for electricity generation. And those health impacts range from asthma and COPD to cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke. The list really just goes on. And air pollution affects us all, but some bear the burden more than others. So not only does solar cost us health and our climate, or not cost us, excuse me, our health and our climate, but solar energy actually pays you back. And so this is another topic that we'll be covering in more depth throughout the course of this next hour. But on average, an American homeowner will pay off their solar panel system in 7 to 8 years and see a return on investment, an ROI of 20% or more. Key thing to keep in mind, though, is that that ROI is threatened when net metering benefits are eroded. So we're going to talk some more about that and how we can keep an eye on that issue and support those net metering benefits. And then lastly, solar energy promotes justice. From environmental degradations from fuel extraction to the air, water, and soil pollution resulting from the burning of fuel, to the effects of climate change that are driven by those emissions. Fossil fuel use has a disproportionate impact on communities of color and low-income communities. These communities bear the burden of the energy use of all of us. So this is an important issue, one that we have to address when we talk about sustainability and energy use. And this year, the Louisville Sustainability Council's annual summit is a focus on this called Climate Crossroads. So you'll hear some more about that event later in the presentation, but this is a really important aspect of why we're here talking about solar and why it's so important for it to be a part of our energy future. So the best first step toward using renewable energy and making the best use of solar is to be energy efficient to begin with. So we're smart energy consumers. We can also be then sustainable energy consumers. So thanks to LCAN, we've got some energy efficiency tips to sprinkle throughout today's presentation. So our first one is to always buy Energy Star rated appliances. You can learn more about Energy Star appliances and how to choose those that are best for you at LCAN's website. They have this resource along with just tons of other resources on how you can reduce your carbon footprint. So Energy Star appliances save you money and are more sustainable energy users as well. So we're going to switch over into the next section of our Green Convene today. I'll be switching screens here with Sarah Lynn Cunningham. Sarah Lynn is a licensed professional environmental engineer, an environmental educator, and the director of the Louisville Climate Action Network. Oh, I just lost the screen. There we go. Sarah Lynn built a solar water heating system and solar greenhouse on the back of her first home in the mid-1980s, and she's installed solar panels on both of her subsequent homes. She's also overseen the installation of several other solar projects around Louisville, including the largest residential project in Louisville to date. So Sarah Lynn, take it away.
Thank you. So I'm not ready to show my slides yet. Can it just show me at this point, or how do I do that?
I think because I'm not sharing a screen, that's up to folks to have their own speaker view or panel view.
I mean, I'm just going to do a few quick remarks. So, you know, my experience is oftentimes people are interested in solar panels, but they kind of want to get a little clearer on whether they want to do it before they call salespeople. And therefore, I want to give you some tips on how to know whether you should call salespeople. And I've got this handout, which I fine-tuned again this morning. So if you subscribe to our newsletter, you will get this in the next newsletter that will come out in the coming week. In 2003, I donated a kidney to my father. And for 14 weeks, I had to go for testing to make sure this wasn't going to do undue harm to me. Those of you that know me know that I'm kind of curious. And so I asked lots of questions. And I almost always got this answer. Well, everybody's different. That wasn't good enough for me, and I came to hate that answer. So I tell you that story as an apology to say, when it comes to solar, every house and everybody is different. And I can't believe I go around saying that all the time, but it's the reality of it. And even people who have the same house with the same solar orientation, sometimes what works best for them is a function of, do they have a day job where they work outside the house, or are they home all the time? So with my apologies, I am now going to share my screen. And there you go. Everybody can see that now, I think. So the first thing to do when you are considering whether solar panels might work for you, how do I advance this thing? It's not cooperating. What does that mean that I can't advance my slides?
You have controls on the bottom left, Sarah, so it looks like you can click it
I have to
manually.
use that, okay. So the first thing you need to do, and you may need to move your pictures off to the left or to the bottom here to be able to see these things, is occasionally there are deed restrictions to your house and what you can put there. Sometimes there are restrictions for historic districts or preservation districts. So for example, this illustration or this photo is from Old Louisville. In Old Louisville, you can have solar panels if they can't be seen from the street. So, you know, luckily the streets tend to run in a way in which you can still make it all happen. But what I want to emphasize is even if you have a restriction on your property, you should be able to file for a variance, and you might be able to get that variance. So take that into account. You know, if you find you're in one of these districts, don't just give up. Okay, now, as I was preparing my answer to this question, is your roof suitable? I just kept flashing on Dr. Seuss. So I couldn't help myself, and I decided to have some fun because we're all a bunch of big kids after all. So this is Seussian Solar to answer the question of, is your roof suitable? If you tap the sun, opening your utility bills will be fun, and your greenhouse gases may drop many a ton. But don't be a goof when it comes to your roof. Plans must be made lest you install in the shade and the benefits you reap fade. We can install solar panels on roofs flat, gabled, pitched, or hip, and then have them up in a zip. We can install on a complicated roof too, like this double gambrel, though it may be your installer's hell. Dormers oughtn't to be in the way, or they'll limit the power you generate each day. Solar power was an easy choice at this convent, home of many a nun, because they know the climate crisis can be won. Solar, and the decision wasn't at all hard for this unit of the National Guard. We can use them on a farm so the planet won't become so warm. We can use them as an awning, ushering in a new era dawning. We can put them on a mall. We can put them so you can make an emergency call. We can put them on a manufacturing plant, making power cost relatively scant. We can put them above a worshiping flock if we ballast them with concrete block. We can put them on libraries of books without affecting the overall looks. We can put them on a school and students will see them as cool. We can create shade when we go solar atop a big old pergola. I almost made that rhyme. See solar as an aesthetic mar, install them where you park the car. We can put them at stops for TARC so riders don't wait in the dark. We can mount them on the ground when a roof location can't be found. Color choices are generally two. Blue is a lovely hue. Black is somewhat new, and something has the nicest view. So whatever you do, going solar, please consider going solar to protect Bears Polar and the loved ones of me and you. So now, so now let's see, I go back to stop sharing, I guess. Is that what I do? Okay. So then what I wanted to say is, it's all one thing. You have to look at the architecture of your roof and make sure you've got enough space. And by the way, you want to leave 3 feet around the perimeter of your solar panels, because you want firefighters to be able in the middle of the night, if they need to go up on that roof and chop a hole in your roof, because firefighters sliding off the solar panels to the ground is considered bad form. Then what you have to look at is your orientation to the sun. There are a few tools for evaluating that on your own. I have to emphasize that you can overread them, you can underread them, but they give you a rough idea, and that's why I want to show them to you. So now, to share the screen again, how do I, let's see here. All right, hold on. I checked the I'm still learning box on that. What do? I can't make the sharing button come up. Suggestions? What do you all see?
We see
your face.
your faces. If you go to the share screen button at the bottom.
Okay. Come on, device. Maybe I need to get out of this slideshow.
Mhm.
Let's
Yeah,
see,
that's probably it.
so that I can see it.
Yeah.
Here, I thought I had this squared away.
And you might not see those buttons until you hover your cursor down on the bottom of the Zoom screen.
Now, I think my regular tray, I need to maximize this so I can get it. There, yeah, my regular tray is showing up. I'm also in the wrong spot, my bad. Okay.
Next time we're gonna need to see Susie and Zoom instructions.
What is this? Do you all see this whole thing? Okay, now, does somebody need to take over before so that I can figure out what I'm doing? Dang.
Well, I tell you what, while you're figuring that out, I'll go ahead and give folks our second energy efficiency tip.
Yeah.
This is another great image. Obviously, LCAN has some really great photos and images to illustrate the ideas that are being discussed. But in this case, there's opportunity to have a high-tech audit of your home or business that can really show you where your biggest impact from your investment can be. This is showing an infrared camera that is indicating by color where there's thermal leaks in this home's ceiling. So that might show where you wouldn't put some insulation or where you might want to tighten around your windows. So this is another one of these great tips.
Now, can you see my Google Earth screen?
Let me stop sharing. And now you'll need to share your Google Earth screen.
I still can't find where I'm supposed to do that anymore. It disappeared on me.
Do you have the Zoom window in front of you?
Yes.
All right, now hover your mouse across the bottom of the window and you'll see the green share screen button.
No, the problem is my Mac menu keeps covering it up. Maybe if I reduce the size. This is so frustrating.
You also have a Mac and I'm talking PC.
There's
Yeah.
a suggestion in the chat saying try Alt plus S.
I beg your pardon?
Alt S.
Okay, I guess that's Alt S. Well, this is what I want you all to see, but do you all see an aerial map now?
No.
No.
You have to share the screen and then you have to select the item you're going to share and then you have to say share. There's another button that shows up that says share.
Yeah, I just can't get it to actually come up and I don't quite know what to do here.
Is there a website that you're going to, Sarah Lynn? I might be able to pull it up and you can talk through it.
So I started out with Google Earth. So it's google.com/earth. And then, well, I don't know what all this, okay, good. And then as it loads up, if you should see an address window where on the left you can put in an address. And it's probably still loading, isn't it? Yeah. So as soon as you can put in an address, and I'll give it to you, please.
Okay. On the third?
Sorry?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
2207 Lauderdale, like Fort Road in Louisville.
Here comes the Zoom.
It's in the Netherlands. I know what's wrong is I'm looking at the wrong screen here.
I say that we're definitely in Louisville.
I cannot figure out what to do here. I'm going to try closing my slide deck. I can't get rid of my slide deck. What, can you see the screen now? Because I'm not.
Well, I'm sharing my screen right now of Google Earth at that
Good.
address.
Okay, good. So I'm just going to look at it at mine and explain it. So
Okay.
if you look in the lower right-hand corner, you see a directional rose. And is yours circulating? Is the map rotating?
It is.
So if you let it go a while, it will stop so that it is oriented north-south. Remember that the red part of the directional rose is north and the white is south. And so if you look at this house, you can see, this is my house, you can see we put solar panels on two faces of the roof. One face is somewhat southeast and the other is somewhat southwest. And so we get solar power on both faces. Now, what I want you also to do for comparison, and I've got to stress, a whole lot of trees in Louisville are ash trees, and they are being attacked by the emerald ash borer. And therefore, you have to always make sure that the trees that you may see preventing you from having solar panels are actually gone now, or they're dead, or they're dying and they're about to be removed. So you always have to ground truth this stuff. But Michelle, if you would now go to Google Sunroof, which is google.com/get/sunroof, which you might even get away with just putting in Google Sunroof and popping it up.
I just type the Google in the Google bar. All right. Will you put
if you
home
put in,
address here?
yes, please, 2207 Lauderdale Road.
All right, we're up.
So again, you can see my house. It is, you see an intersection at the base of the image, and you can pick it out. It's got a hip roof, so a trapezoidal faces. And you can see that the face that goes to southeast is bright yellow, and the face that goes to southwest is orange. But there, you see the tree in the front of the house we've removed. The big old tree in the front left corner of the house, we trimmed off the top. It's a magnolia and it tolerates that just fine. And we have on the, there you can see houses, trees on top of the roof. Those were species like we had an ash that was dying, we had a mulberry, and we had a box elder, and we eliminated those, and we are now replanting with native species. So the next time Google flies over our house, A, you're going to see solar panels, and B, you're going to see it yellow there. So I once had to make the decision of whether I was going to eliminate a 75-foot perfectly healthy tulip poplar tree in order to double my solar potential. And I did the math. The tree was pulling 84 pounds of CO2 out of the atmosphere every year, and the solar power was going to get me something like 8,000 tons a year. So I talked to Claude Stevens with Bernheim Forest and said, Claude, what would you do? And he goes, that is a no-brainer. Cut down that tree and plant 3, 4, 5 more, and you get win-win situations. So that's what we're doing here as well. And I would encourage you to think that way too, if need be. Now, Michelle, can you put in your own address, please? And while she's doing that, at the bottom it says search for solar providers. If you do that, you're going to get the people who paid to be ranked up at the top, not necessarily the best installers. So give that a grain of salt, please.
All right, nobody come TP my house. All right, it's up.
Okay, I don't see it because I'm looking at the wrong thing, sorry. So now Michelle's house, you can see she has she's got a gabled roof and both sides are orange, and yet you don't see big trees blocking it. And that's because those faces are overwhelmingly northeast and southwest, and therefore they're not getting as many hours of sun each day. Now, I am increasingly seeing homes like this with solar panels because the cost of solar panels has gone down so much that people take the tack, what the heck, if they get sun only half the day, I'm going to go ahead and put them up there because between the two sides, I'm going to get enough power to make it worth my while. But what is nice about this is you can just look at the colors and see. Now, I happen to know also that Michelle has cleaned out some of the Japanese honeysuckle, an extremely invasive shrub, from her property. I don't know that they were tall enough to affect it, but again, it illustrates the point that you have to always go out and ground truth this information. Okay, I have only a couple of quick more points to make. The next one is, in order to go solar in Jefferson County, you have to bring the wiring of your home or business up to code. And in homes, that's 200 amps of service. And most of us probably already have 200 amps. And frankly, you might not need it if you have a gas stove and a gas water heater and a gas furnace, but it's the rule, and it's just going to help the resale value of your house. So just plan on the fact that you need to go ahead and make sure you have 200 amps because otherwise it'll slow your project down. I don't know that we have mentioned the tax credits, but the tax credits are being phased out. They're currently at 24%, and therefore it's always wise to go ahead. Don't put it off because, yeah, maybe the price of the panels might come down a little bit, but your tax credit, which covers the panels and the back equipment and labor and all that, is going to go down too. And then the last thing is LCAN has a series of workshops that we call Before You Buy, where we offer consumer tips to people before they make the bigger purchases to increase their comfort level. And we offer one on going solar. I'm about to set the date on that. We had to cancel one because of COVID, and I'm polling the people who had registered to get the time and date that works best for them. But within a few days, I will have that next event up on our website, louisvillecan.org/events. And once again, if you go to louisvillecan.org, scroll to the bottom and fill out the subscribe form, I will send you the handout for today's talk by way of that newsletter, so you'll have it for reference. All right, Michelle, you've rescued another green convene when the technology failed.
Hey, we're in it together, right?
Really?
All for one. All right, so we're going to transition now to the next section of today's talk and talk a little bit about ways that you can support green power through your utility bill. Maybe you can't invest, maybe you don't have the right kind of roof for solar panels. So Julie Donna is going to talk to us a little bit about that. Julie serves as Louisville Metro Government Sustainability Specialist in the Office of Advanced Planning and Sustainability. Her work centers around advancing the goals and objectives of the citywide sustainability and climate action plans. She's focused on building climate resilient Louisville through collaborative, equitable, and community-led solutions. All right, Julie, stop sharing and give you the helm.
Hey, thank you, Michelle. I'll try to start sharing this. Hopefully my technology is going to be working. And okay, does everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. So unfortunately, I don't have any Dr. Seuss poem or anything, but maybe next time. As Michelle said, I'm Julie Donna with the Metro Office of Advanced Planning and Sustainability. And just very briefly about our office, we are in charge of the long-range planning solutions for the city. And we are operating under the CHASE principles, which is to create a connected, healthy, authentic, sustainable, and equitable Louisville. So our office doesn't just do sustainability work, we also do neighborhood planning, multimodal initiatives, and public art. And here is our sustainability team. I believe that Gretchen Milliken and Allison Smith are on this call with me today, so they'll also be able to answer any questions and participate in the conversation. And That's to say, I am a representative of the Louisville Metro government. I am not a representative of LG&E, but I am going to share about what options they have available for if you don't have a property that is suitable for solar. And the first of those is the LG&E Solar Share program, and that's a subscription program where you can buy local solar and basically participate in the construction of this of the solar. And okay, let me. So you can buy any number of shares, and it's $5.55 per month. And once LG&E gets 2,000 shares, they construct a solar array in Simpsonville, Kentucky. And then once that array goes live, participants will start to pay that subscription fee, however many shares that they bought, and then they will earn a monthly credit on their bill. And each share is worth about 18 to 35 kilowatt hours of energy per month. And I'm trying to advance slide. Oh no. Okay, it's not letting me move forward. It did that before.
Maybe stop your share and try it again.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
Little reset.
No? Darn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
Is it a PowerPoint or a PDF?
Maybe might back out of the presentation mode and or slideshow mode and go back into the edit mode where you can scroll.
Yeah.
Not as clean, but gets the job done.
Okay, that just stopped sharing. My apologies, everyone. I didn't think I would have these technical issues, but I do actually have a PDF of it available. Or I'll just try a couple of things. Let's see if. Okay, is this? Do you see it without the?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do it this way.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the Solar Share program is $5.55 per month for each share, and our Allison Smith in our office has actually been a subscriber, and she just subscribed to the solar array that just went live, and she has 2 shares, so she paid $11 and she got back $6 in her monthly bill credit. So so the Solar Share, as I said, they build this once the enough customers have signed on to it. So they've built 2 sections already, and they have 8 sections possible approved by the PSC, their regulator. So each share, each section, the first 2 sections are complete, and they're subscribing for the 3rd section. So yeah, once that 3rd section is complete, they'll start to build that one too. So it's each section is 500 kilowatts. So so right now they have completed, I'll go back to this one. So this in total is 1 megawatt of solar right now from LG&E. And the other program is the Green Energy Program, which is where they sell renewable energy certificates to support the growth of regional renewable energy operators. So this is slightly different because they are selling the environmental benefits of the renewable energy that is separated from the electricity. So it's similarly priced. Each REC is $5 a month, and it's tracked through a 3rd party so that you know you are getting the environmental benefits and supporting the environmental benefits of the renewable energy that's built on a regional level. And as I said, it's regional. Here's the makeup of what the green energy program RECs are sourced by. And note that none of it is actually from Kentucky. It's from Missouri, Indiana, and Illinois. And interestingly, a lot from wind power and not as much from solar. And LG&E has about 2,000 subscribers monthly to about 2,000 RECs are sold monthly through this program. And LG&E also has some other various programs to promote renewable energy. Those last two are available to any residents, any businesses, anyone who's an LG&E customer. However, these programs are just for the businesses and institutions, any non-residential customers, so I won't go into that. But there's the business solar program and the renewable power purchase agreements, and you can ask about those at the during the discussion if you'd like. So yeah, if that with that, I will. Oh, and one more thing is the this might have made you wonder how much of Louisville's energy is coming from solar with these programs. And this is from our 2016 greenhouse gas inventory. And this pie chart on the left is based on our consumption of energy. And as you see, the majority of it is from fossil fuels, and the largest portion of renewable energy is from hydro. And on the right, it shows the renewable capacity of LG&E as of 2019. And we do have 5 megawatts of solar available and 101 megawatts of hydro. And so that's what our capacity is. That's not how much we're consuming. So slight difference, but you can still see the relative proportions compared to LG&E's total energy capacity. And if you have, if anyone is subscribed to the Green Energy Program or the Solar Share Program, please put your experience in it in the chat. I know that Allison was excited to have her solar credits, you know, applied to her bill, even though they did start taking out the monthly payments, but she also got some money back. So if you have to, please let us know and continue this conversation. And with that, we're going to,
Julie, I have this, the slide deck up that you sent earlier. If you'd like, I can transition to the screen share, and then you just let me know when to advance slides.
That would be perfect.
I wanted to speak to the comparison between the two programs. Do you want me to hold that for later?
I think, yeah, you can go ahead and share that now, and while Michelle's transitioning to her slide deck.
Can you go backwards, please, to the slide that was about the come down?
Green energy?
Yes, right there, please. What I wanted to say is that the Solar Shares program was created for businesses that do green accounting, and they wanted to up their score because they scored poorly when they were using fossil fuels in their reporting. And that's a legitimate concern. But my concern about the program Solar Shares is that, yes, you spend $6 a month on that order and you get about $3, and that teaches the public that solar power is not a very good deal. I think the green energy program is a better one because you spend $5 and you get 1,000 kilowatt hours, which is substantially more than you're going to get from a single solar panel. And because it is monitored by an independent third party with high standards, I think it's a very legitimate program. And now I'm going to argue against myself and point out that if you want a smart meter right now, the only way to get one is to sign up for one solar share. And when that program goes live, you will then get a smart meter where you can monitor your power consumption on a real-time basis. And you can even graph and try to figure out how can I drop down the amount of power that I use. So if you cannot put solar panels on your roof and you need to use one of these programs, I would recommend, LCAN recommends that you go with the Renewable Energy Credit Program unless you want a smart meter. And then for one panel alone, then you can solve that problem. but we really don't like it that the program teaches people solar is a bad deal.
Yeah, their advanced meter program has a waiting list, but since
Right.
Solar Share has the requirement of having advanced meters, they do have them available. So, and there's also the additional benefit of the monthly bill credit, but yeah.
All right. That was so glad that you all added that in. That gives people a lot to think about when they're choosing whether to participate in one program or the other. I've got some slides back up. We're going to transition to the next part of the agenda, but we're going to have another energy efficiency tip from LCAN first, and that is to use daylighting. So this is another way to use solar, and that's just directly from the sun. So if you can use daylighting in your home where it doesn't increase your heat gain during the cooling season, it's a great way to be very energy efficient. And again, you can go to LCAN's website and learn a lot more about that as a concept. So next we're going to switch over to opportunities to support policies to encourage solar power growth. So the first two topics today involve some investment financially, and we know some folks won't necessarily be able to do that, or maybe you're a renter that doesn't have control over your utility bill, or maybe you just want to go beyond that and take more steps and use your voice to support solar energy. We wanted to share some information about some different ways to do that and different things that are going on here locally that you can get behind. So I'm going to turn it back over to Julie. And Julie, just let me know as you want me to advance these slides.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. So I always, even though I will be talking about our policies, I do like to put this in the context of the climate change realities that Louisville is facing. So I have to point out that this graph does start at 53, it doesn't start at 0, but the average temperatures in Louisville have been increasing on average each decade that we've been experiencing since the 1960s and beyond. So the average number of days above 90 degrees has increased by 12, and we're facing, if we don't take climate action, we're facing even more, much more drastic climate change impacts. We could increase our average temperature by 12 degrees, see much more severe storms, heavier rain events, and just more unpredictable weather patterns. And so this is not just about our weather, but it's also going to be affecting our people in Louisville. And so this is something that is a major concern and a major priority for us. And so Louisville Metro has been supporting solar energy, from setting goals to supporting initiatives related to solar energy for a while. I'll point out that in 2017, Louisville was awarded gold designation by SolSmart, and that means that we had streamlined the solar permitting process so that small PV systems, such as the residential solar that we've been talking about today, has a streamlined, easy permitting process, and make it as convenient as possible for people to get solar panels on their buildings. We've also we've set a goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 80% by 2050, but at the same time, we recognize that that is not enough to miss the major climate change impacts and really affect change. We need to decrease at a much accelerated rate. And so because of that, and because of the tireless efforts of the 100% Renewable Energy Alliance of Louisville, who will be talking after I do, the Metro Council passed a 100% clean energy resolution back in February. So we have some very ambitious goals, and things like everyone on this call installing solar panels and getting involved is a way to reach that. It will take all of us. Next slide. And so the roadmap for how to do that is through the plans developed from our office, the climate action and adaptation plans. And the climate action plan is our roadmap for reducing our greenhouse gas emissions and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. And the climate adaptation plan is our way to avoid the worst impacts of climate change and minimize the impacts on our most vulnerable residents, because we know that climate change is not going to affect us all equally, and already is not affecting everyone in Louisville equally. So those are our plans, and they have some larger goals around solar energy specifically is what I'm going to focus on today. But these plans have many other sustainability related goals, and a lot of content, a lot of goals. For instance, we have the goal of 50% of homes and 25% of commercial buildings to be installed with solar. So, but we're also looking at policies to make it easier and support solar in Louisville. So, some highlights from our plans include expediting the permit process, expanding net metering policy, creating a solar rebate program, requiring new construction to be solar ready, ready to install solar panels when the occupant chooses, starting a local green bank, and investing in community solar programs. And so these are all ways that we can support solar on a local level. But we also have state solutions, and these plans go into much more detail than this, but these state solutions, of course, will be much harder to implement because it's just a much harder lift policy-wise. However, these will be so much more impactful because they will, change the future of all of Kentucky, not just in Louisville. So these state solutions include a renewable energy portfolio standard, and as you can see on the map, a large number of states in this country have already implemented some form of renewable energy portfolio standards, except for, as you can see, the Southeast region. So we could be next. And other solutions that would be effective statewide are for stronger state financial incentives, and then, of course, the net metering policy in the state. Next slide. And so net metering, I've mentioned it a couple times already, and but just to explain to anyone on the call who doesn't know what it is, it's when a private energy generation system like solar panels on a home are generating excess energy because they're not necessarily using all of that energy that the sun is providing them during the day. And so they are sending that because they're connected to LG&E's grid, they're sending it back to the grid. And then at night, when their solar panels are not producing energy, they're drawing from the grid. And so net metering is when they get credit for that excess energy that they're sending to the grid, sending to their neighbors, and then getting credit for that when they are drawing from, to use when they were drawing from the grid. And there's a lot of information on the policy that Sarah Lynn will be talking about later today, and I can add some things there. But so that is the basic concept, and having a beneficial net metering policy really would enhance the benefits of solar to residential customers, and that is what we want to see because we want everyone to get the full benefits of what they're producing. And with that, we have a Facebook page and Twitter page at @SustainLou. You can keep up with all of our climate work there. And you can also subscribe to our Sustain Louisville e-newsletter. And Julia has put the links to all of those in the chat. Thank you. And you can contact us anytime. And this is the contact information for everyone on my team.
Great. Thank you so much, Julia. Next up, we're going to hear from Sam Avery. Sam is a local activist with 100% Real and the Louisville Peace Action Community. He is also the author of the upcoming book, The Carbon Boycott. Sam, take it away.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. Real, 100% Real has been around in one form or another for the last 15 years or so. We've only been using this name more recently. We were previously a chapter of 350.org. The main thing that we have done that applies to what we're talking about here is that 2 years ago, we submitted a resolution to Metro Council in Louisville for 100% renewable energy. And it took us a while to come up with the wording, moving commas around and haggling with each other about what we were going to say. But we finally came up with a statement that led to 100% renewable energy for the whole community in 3 stages, in 2030, 35, and 40. And the details of that, of course, are available online. But we went to every Metro Council meeting for over a year and spoke there about the need for this resolution. And when it finally passed in February of this year, the mayor immediately supported it. And not only that, but the city began looking for an energy manager at that point. And thanks to our own Julie Donna, who wrote up the job description for this, we've got language from the resolution into the energy manager's job. So the city has begun to internalize this resolution for 100% renewable over the coming years. Main thing what we have concentrated on since the resolution passed is for an implementation plan. How are we actually going to do this? And what we've come up with is something, we just completed it yesterday. It's a 20-page report called the Louisville Energy Future, Louisville's Energy Future. 9 of us wrote this up and edited it, moved commas around and bickered over what we were gonna say, but we finally came up with it. And that really helps. It helped us come up with a really solid plan. It isn't any one person's idea. It includes conservation, smart meters, community involvement, how we're going to work this with LG&E. We'd love to do this with LG&E, but we're going to have to do it one way or another. We hope LG&E is cooperative on this. Financing. What I was primarily interested in was how we're actually going to build renewable energy production in this town. If we're going to go 100% renewable energy, that's a huge problem. And as a solar installer myself, I outlined what we would need for this. And basically what I came up with was an 84 megawatt system. Now, if you looked at those pictures of the LG&E's solar shares installation, those 2 blocks of panel, that was 1 megawatt. We're talking 84 megawatts just for the city government, not even for the whole community. That's about 500 acres of panels. That's huge. But keep in mind that there are 2 or 3 other solar installations in Kentucky now of about that size, even larger. So this is something that's ongoing. We just need to be part of it. As a former solar installer, I encourage rooftop solar as any way we can get solar out there. But we're going to need something bigger than that. That's where we're going to need something utility scale. And we have outlined that. The more we can do conservation, the smaller that has to be. But again, the more we do, say, vehicle electrification, the bigger that's going to have to be. But it's going to have to be something big, and we have to get started on it now. We have to start thinking about where we're going to do this. How are we going to finance it? Is the city going to finance it directly through bonding, or are we going to do a power purchase agreement, which is a lot of other cities around the country are doing, which is one in which a solar developer finances the whole thing, builds the whole thing in exchange for a guaranteed income stream for the energy produced. That's what, like, Cincinnati is doing that. Something else we're doing is a demonstration project. We're trying to get solar installed on the library, the main library building downtown. I've been up there on the roof with the library management, and I've determined we can get 720 panels up there. It's a great spot for it. They're going to do that hopefully and coordinate that with installing a new roof, repairing the roof there. So we're not going to be able to do that right away, but we probably can get private financing from that. The Library Foundation thinks that they have people who would love to do something like that, a high profile demonstration project. So that's something else we're working on. In conclusion, let me say that 100% Real is trying to do what we've always thought about, and that is to think globally and act locally. globally, the United Nations came up with a study just 2 years ago, which said that, and this was a study by 91 scientists from 40 countries who compiled over 6,000 scientific reports on what is happening with our climate. And their conclusion after compiling all this information is 30 years from now, we have to be using no fossil fuel at all. No gas, no petroleum, no coal. That's only 30 years from now. So what we're trying to do with 100% Real is take that global problem that's going to affect everybody everywhere and make it happen here, where we can do things, where we can talk to people, where we can take control of our own lives. So that's what we're trying to do. And we encourage everybody else to help us. We enjoy working with LCAN, with the Louisville Sustainability Council, with Metro government, and with the Office of Sustainability and Advanced Planning. So thank you all for inviting us here.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Thanks for sharing the walkthrough of 100% Real's actions and your next steps. I know I'm certainly looking forward to digging into Louisville's energy future and seeing what you all have put together there. We're going to transition next to Sarah Lynn Cunningham, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about net metering at Public Service Commission. I just want to let everybody know we are running a little long in this part, but we will be transitioning shortly to that Q&A, so stick with us and don't forget to add some questions to the chat if you don't want to forget them and want to get them out there. So Sarah Lynn,
Do I need to do anything or just go?
if you're just talking, you just talk.
Cool. So the younger folks might not know what this is, but it's a landline. And it used to be, this was the only thing we had in our homes and our businesses. And it used to be, it was controlled by one company called AT&T. And before that, it was called Bell Telephone. And we used to refer to the little Bell companies, all owned by this one entity, as Ma Bell. And then somebody said, you know, this really isn't in the consumer interest that one company is controlling everything. And so the federal government ordered them to break them up so that you could get landline phone service from other companies. So you had some choice. And they even made Ma Bell share the infrastructure with other companies because it was in the consumer interest. Well, here we are now. We've got people putting solar panels up on their roof, and the utilities are losing control of customers and the customers' demand, which translates, of course, into profits. So in every state in the United States, there are utilities who are trying to take away net metering rights such that that excess power that Julie's cute little video showed that funnel back into the grid during the day, the way LG&E and other utilities in Kentucky have proposed to change the rule, for every 3 excess kilowatt hours you put into the grid, you only get 1 back at night. Currently, it's a 1-to-1 trade, or parity as I like to call it, but they want to take 2/3 of your excess power and keep it and sell it to other customers, which I don't need to tell you is a disincentive to solar, and we are going to fight it. The utilities tried for 3 legislative sessions to get this passed. We beat them down the first 2 times. The second time we had legislators telling us they had gotten no more feedback on any other bill except for guns and abortion, which is pretty impressive for Kentucky. But then they made massive political donations, and a couple of months later, the thing passed. So one utility has filed a case to change its rate structure per this new system. I'm a smart girl, and I had to read that thing 3 times, and I still wasn't sure what this complicated rate structure was going to mean. And this is a problem because when people invest in solar, they want to know their return on investment. The Kentucky Resources Council is challenging or serving as a intervener in that case. It's in the far part of eastern Kentucky, and we are hoping to set a precedent. Public Service Commission said they were going to do an independent third-party study to figure out what was fair, and if they did that, it would be wonderful. We wouldn't have to worry about a thing, but then they decided they didn't have the money. So Whenever this gets closer to home, LCAN will be absolutely asking its membership to speak to these issues. So again, if you would like to be kept informed on this important issue, then please go to louisvillecan.org, scroll to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a purple and white subscribe form to fill out. And lastly, I don't know that we've said, and we need to say, the reason net metering is so important is it allows us to eliminate batteries, which is more expensive than even the solar panels. So it's a very significant thing about the affordability of solar power, customer-owned solar power.
Great, thank you so much, Sarah Lynn. And I'm glad you included in there that folks can go to LCAN's website to find out information and follow these issues and learn when maybe they are able to submit their own comments and voice their opinions on these very important PSC cases. So another quick energy efficiency tip for folks. You know, we've got a lot of things that plug in all over our homes these days, and many of them have features that draw power constantly, even when they're not turned on. They are ready to be an instant on kind of device. So a great way to keep that vampire load that's sucking away your energy when you're not even using it is to use power strips that can just instantly cut off the electricity to anything plugged into them. And that will keep that draw from happening when you're not even using that device. So going to see a poll has popped up, so hopefully everybody had a chance to give us a little bit more. All right, I see a lot of folks ready to get there. A little bit more to learn for some of us. You know, this is a big issue, and that's definitely why we thought it was an appropriate topic to bring people together for this Green Convene. And I really want to thank Sarah Lynn, Sam, and Julie for sharing your expertise in these issues. And want to make sure that everybody knows how you can continue to learn more from organizations like these, and how you can support LSC and LCAN so that we can continue to bring you these kinds of programs. So Julia, hopefully you can help us out here.
Definitely. Thanks, Michelle. And thanks everyone again for taking the time to be here and geeking out with us over some solar energy. I wish it could be in person, but it's still really nice to be able to connect with the community, especially over sustainability topics. So we really do appreciate each and every one of you guys for showing up and making the commitment to learn and grow, not just for yourselves, but for our city as well. If you're feeling inspired after this event, be sure to make a green commitment and head over to LSC's Do Something Green page. I just posted that in the chat box. You can see other community pledges, you can make your commitment, and then you can browse through our resource library to see how else you can go green. A couple LSC updates. Today is the big launch of our 2020 Louisville Sustainability Summit. Tickets are on sale now. Be sure you reserve your spot. We do have limited entry to this event. I just posted that in the chat box as well, so you can head there. I couldn't be more excited about this summit. I really couldn't. It's titled Climate Crossroads with guest speaker Charles Booker. We will be exploring the intersection of climate change and social justice and many of the backroads in between. There will be discussion on allyship, sustainable commitments, and what actions you can take today to do your part in going green. You won't want to miss it. Again, I just dropped the link in the chat box to get your tickets. This event is free for members. So if you're already a member, I will be sending you a code to get your free ticket. If not, this is also a great time to become a new LSC member. It's on sale right now, so just go ahead and get your membership and get your ticket to this event. And be sure to share this with your friends, your family, your dog. If you follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram, please be sure to share this event on your page as well. It's a really important one for our community. Another note, we are also participating in the Give for Good this year. If you're not familiar with Give for Good, it's a 24-hour citywide fundraiser through the Community Foundation of Louisville. It's a very important to keep our programs and events and resources available and accessible to the community. So if you're able to take part in this and help us raise some money, that would be awesome. We're really hoping to get on the leaderboard this year, so any donation would be hugely appreciated. If you are subscribed to our newsletters or again on Facebook or Instagram, we'll be dropping the link a couple days before that goes live. And again, thanks everyone for your support and being here. This has been recorded, so tomorrow this event will be up on our page in case you missed anything or wanted to backtrack at some of the resources. In just a second, I'll post the LSCU website, Facebook, Instagram, and the LCAN webpage and Facebook in the chat box, so you have all the resources you need to stay connected.
Great. Thank you, Julia. So we've heard about a lot of great events. There's lots of great links in the chat today. And but I have one more energy efficiency tip to take us into our question and answer panel discussion session. It's about exit lights, but don't exit just yet. Stay with us, and we're going to have a great discussion. But this is really something important, especially for those of you all that may be facility managers or commercial building owners. If you help manage your church or house of worship, there's a lot of those types of buildings that are required to have these lit exit signs, and they can draw a lot of energy if they're not lit with efficient LED bulbs. They stay on all the time. They're really important for safety, but we can do this better. LEDs just sip energy where other types of lighting pulp it down. So there's more tips on lighting on LCAN's website. I hope you all will check that out and look for those LED bulbs, whether it's your exit sign or your bedside table lamp. You're going to save with an LED bulb. And there's LEDs in just about every type of bulb that you could need at this point. All right, so we're going to transition now into a Q&A session with these fantastic panelists. Also want to recognize Gretchen Milliken and Allison Smith with the Office of Advanced Planning, who are also in our session, and so can help us out with questions around those programs and the city's initiatives as well. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and we can look at each other's faces if you'd like to put your camera on. Otherwise, feel free just to unmute and ask a question or put one in the chat. And I didn't see any in the chat that were asked already during the presentation. Julia, let me know if I'm wrong on that, if you saw something.
Yep, I caught one. When did the requirement for a 200 amp panel begin?
I first learned of it on a project that I did in 2009. So I know it's been around for at least that long, but I can't tell you when it was adopted.
I don't know of that as a requirement. I'm a solar installer, but most solar installations require more than 100 amps in order to install the inverter. Inverter has a certain amperage requirement. So almost all of our installations are on 200 amp services. They don't actually have to be, but almost all of them are. And often we have to upgrade from 100 to 200 amps. I'm not sure that's a requirement, but it's something that people do or should do.
Well, it's my understanding that it is. So if you are considering it, you might want to confirm.
We have some more questions from the audience. Like to jump in, feel free, go ahead and unmute and ask your question. While folks are thinking about that, I'll just take a moment to recognize that we have some additional Sustainability Council board members in our audience today. We've got Ellen Trahan, I saw Steve Eggers and Jonathan Ballard. Of course, Gretchen represents the city on the LSC board as well. See if there's some more folks there. If I've missed you or overlooked you, my apologies. We appreciate everybody's participation today. Sarah Lynn, I'll ask you a question about the network in the Louisville Climate Action Network. What kind of members do you have there in your network?
Right now we have 36 members, and they include other nonprofit groups, for-profit businesses, houses of worship, educational institutions, and I think that covers everybody. Yeah, I'd say it does. And I think if we worked harder, we would have many more, but not enough hours in the day. What can I say, poet, but don't know it.
Hey, we'll continue events like this and keep spreading the word about the network and about the council.
So if anybody here is with an organization that would like to join, we do not charge to join. The commitment is simply that you give us a point person to whom we send calls to action, and you still maintain the right to decide if the call to action is appropriate for your audience, and you distribute the information in a way that makes sense for your organization. So it's pretty non-binding. But it is a good way to move information around when, for example, net metering's head is on the chopping block.
Gotcha. Modern day telephone tree.
Yeah.
Great. Looks like we got a couple questions here in the chat about recommendations for local companies for solar installation. And you know, if you're not necessarily comfortable recommending a specific company, maybe also speak to what are some considerations that you should look for when you're choosing your solar installer.
Shall I go first?
Take it away.
If you sign up for the Before You Buy seminar for going solar, we have another handout with a length of things you should ask prospective installers so that you are sure to get somebody that will do a good job for you, starting with things like, are you going to file for a permit? Because you need a permit and you don't want to get stuck not being permitted. So again, we're going to be offering that workshop soon and that specific information. Secondly, I will note that there are a couple of solar installers that are members of the network, and we wouldn't let them in the network if we thought they did bad work. So you can check those out. If you go to the website at the top on the About tab, if you click it, you'll see network and you can scroll down and find them. But, you know, suffice it to say, I see some bad work out there and I see some good work, and it's like anything else. When you're getting ready to drop 5 digits, you need to do your homework. But that's not easy for everybody, and that's why we offer that class to help people.
Great, thank you. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, we as the government cannot recommend specific installers, but I would recommend listening to all of Sarah Lynn's resources and attending those events. And I'm also going to drop a link to a webpage that we have on our sustainability website about installing solar and more about the design specifications and permitting, everything you need to know from the government perspective about installing solar.
Which we think is a good site and have on our handouts too, because it puts everything in one place. Thank you very much.
Right.
Did Sarah Lynn recommend certified installers?
Well, I didn't explicitly now, but on the handout, yes, we believe it's a good idea to have NABCEP certified installers, which stands for North American Board of Certified Energy Professionals. Thank you. I think we've got it on our website too.
I saw there's a question, this is Gretchen Milliken from the city, that the city evaluating the purchasing of solar power from LG&E through the green tariff, and similar to the Toyota and Dow. And that is absolutely something that we've been looking into. Unfortunately, the Toyota Dow, they were hoping to be able to, what is that? They had to go to the PSC in order to get that all approved, and that they were hoping to get their demand credits approved through the PSC, and they were not. So that whole Toyota Dow build out has not been confirmed yet. It still is in the works. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and they're trying to work out a deal. It's not going to be as profitable for Toyota and Dow to go into it now because of that PSC ruling. And we're sort of on hold waiting to see how that all works out. Sorry, I've got a few dogs at my house right now. But we're watching it very closely. We're in constant conversation with LG&E. They do know that this is something that we're interested in doing from the city's perspective to, that's one of our ways of doing the 100% renewables. And so just, if you're interested in it, feel free to reach out to myself or Allison or Julie, and we'll keep you as updated as we can.
Gretchen, this is Brian Zoller. I was
Yeah.
the one that asked the question. I'm representing the developer that's actually building that solar farm in Hardin County.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, tell us more.
So I hadn't heard who else is considering that program, and I don't know if LG&E is yet considering other projects. But I think you hit the nail on the head with respect to the issues with the Toyota and the Dow arrangement. What the PSC decided hurt the economics of the deal. I think basically they were getting credits during peak hours that the PSC thought they were shifting costs to other consumers. But anyway, it's an interesting program. We'll see if it works. There's probably 25 other utility scale solar projects kicking around the state that would be direct into the wholesale market. So there's lots of activity going on in the state. So just curious what the appetite for the city was in those type of deals. So glad to be a resource.
Right. I mean, one of the reasons that we have looked into it is that, well, one, we don't have a lot of options, but this seemed to be one of the better options to, in order to achieve that 100% or to get, closer to that. And so this is something that we would have been, if Toyota and Dow hadn't kind of pulled the plug first, we would have probably been one of the first ones to go into a green tariff with LG&E. That energy manager position is going to be really key. That is one of the job description pieces that we have there, is to be able to negotiate something like a green tariff with LG&E. So we're really hoping that that position will put us kind of, closer to going down that road as well.
Great, I'll stay tuned, and if you have any questions about some of the development work or things associated with the project, I'm glad to chime in.
Yeah, well, I think we would love to connect with you. Hear all your sort of background information.
Good connection happening. This is what we do at the Green Convenes. All right, love it. There was a question about where to find information about the Before You Buy workshops. I put the link to the LCAN events webpage into the chat, and that's where you can keep an eye out for those to pop up. And I think, Sarah Lynn, you said there's one coming soon.
Yeah, and again, if people subscribe, they'll get an invitation to it too.
Even better. Love a subscription that comes right to my inbox.
Oh, and I should note, you guys, I do not have time to overstuff your inbox. That newsletter goes out at most 15 times a year. That's it. Don't worry.
Won't overflow the inboxes. Okay. So we have another question for newer homeowners. Are there requirements for the length of ownership before any of the LG&E assessments can take place? You have to be a home owner at that address for any length of time before those LG&E services can be accessed.
If I understand that question correctly, and I'm not sure that I do, if your name is on the bill for that particular address, you're eligible for programs. But the questioner may have to tell me if that's what she meant or not.
Okay. Ellen, follow up if that didn't answer your question.
It could be, they used to offer rebates and incentives, cash rebates and incentives, and you had to own the home for 8 months before you could do that. So maybe that's what she's asking about, but they have killed that program because energy efficiency isn't profitable. Sarcasm dripping intended.
Thanks for clarifying the sarcasm. Wallace, you said that you are thinking of a policy type question. You have one for us.
I do. One of the aspects of the net metering situation is that the law says that if you reach 1% of the retail electric sales, peak electric sales, that nobody else can get net metering. And I am curious as to whether our Office of Advanced Planning folks have any idea of how close we are to having enough solar installations that we might reach that 1% cap on net metered solar installations.
Well, is this based on the capacity, renewable capacity?
No, it's based on the state law, and it's all based on peak demand. So that slide you had approaches the answer.
Yeah, I can share that again if it'd be helpful. But yeah, so as you saw from
actually,
that slide,
I take it back. That slide is generation capacity. That's not the same.
Yeah,
okay.
there's two factual inputs. How much installed capacity do we have? And what is that peak retail load number? And probably the amount of installed solar we have is the more interesting number of the two.
Yeah. And so, but in general, I mean, just from the proportions that we have seen, I don't have exact numbers on hand, but it's nowhere near that amount of concern. And so, and that's one of the arguments against the net metering policy that we have now, is that it's approaching that, you know, once we get to that point, we'll have a problem. Well, we're nowhere close to that. So it's not, if we change net metering before then, we're just going to be stifling what is now just starting up as a, you know, as a potential area of economic growth.
It's a solution in search of a problem.
All right.
Yeah, and also relating to net metering policy, I put a link in the chat before, but shout out to Wallace with the Kentucky Solar Energy Society. I recommend checking out their website with lots of solar resources as well. But the Kentucky Solar Energy Society has a webinar next week about net metering policy and the status of that in Kentucky with everything that's going on. So if you want to update about that, I'd recommend checking it out to dive deeper into this policy.
And I just copied that back into it again, so top of mind for anybody who wants to click right on that right now and get registered. Okay. You have any other questions for our panelists today, or anybody want to share some experience that they've had with solar, whether that's in solar installation on your home or business, or maybe participation in one of the LG&E programs that Julie has shared with us. Love to hear from others.
Yeah, I could share my experience with solar, not as an installer, but as a homeowner. If you have a fairly good orientation on your roof, and you don't have much shading going on, the average house has enough roof space to support all of its energy needs, plus an automobile. So it's not an ideal situation, and a lot of houses have, you know, dormers and chimneys and shade trees in the way, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. But potentially speaking, for some reason or other, the amount of roof space on the average house is enough to produce all of its energy.
That's a great tip, and I really appreciate that you also added in there our vehicles, because we've been talking mostly about residential or commercial solar on buildings and solar energy for our building use, but we can drive on solar too. And Stuart Unger, who is one of the founders and past president of Evolve KY, a local, or statewide now actually, electric vehicle owners group, said this really well. At one point in the, there's a solar Driving on Solar movie that was released just a couple of years ago, and I'll find the link and drop that in the chat for folks. But as he put it, your electric vehicle is the only car that can get cleaner after you own it. You know, that electric vehicle, if you add solar panels to your home and that's where you're charging, you're just taking that much more of that fossil fuel out of the equation and driving on sunshine. And from the Air Pollution Control District, that's my other hat that I wear most days as Director of Program Planning. I want to assure folks that even if you aren't able to put those solar panels on your roof, if you are plugged in and driving on electricity, you are still producing fewer greenhouse gas emissions and fewer of those criteria pollutants like NOx that lead to ozone or fine particulates and SO2 that have all those health effects. Even here in coal country, that is a cleaner choice than your traditional fossil fuel powered vehicle, gas or diesel. So,
Amen, Michelle.
yes. So you take that step, and then, you know, I'm driving electric now, but I don't have those solar panels on my roof yet, but I hope to do so, and my car will just get cleaner as I go. So thank you, Sam, for raising that point.
And I could add to the reason why it's even better to run an electric vehicle on coal-based energy is that electric cars are 4 times as efficient as gasoline cars. 4 times. So they're cheaper to run. Their mechanical work is much easier. They're easier to maintain. So everybody needs to transition to electric cars.
The other reason, in my view, is that Air Pollution Control District monitors LG&E's emissions from their power plants, and you can drive a smoking car ad nauseum until it craps out in the middle of the road, and nobody's going to stop you. So the fact that it's regulated and monitored and kept in line is a very big deal compared to tailpipes. Thank you, Air Pollution Control District.
Oh, I was just going to mention, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure.
This is the paper that we just finished editing should be available online soon if it's not now. And I think it has some interesting angles on looking at how we might need to work with the state and with the Public Service Commission. And it even has a connection that I enjoyed. Having trouble with my voice, sorry. Takes us to the original franchise agreement with Gooch, which was signed in 1890, a handwritten contract, and with the city of Louisville. So y'all might want to check that out.
Margaret is speaking of the 100% real renewable energy alliance implementation plan, the Louisville's Energy Future. And the Gooch letter that she refers to of 1890 is the monopoly contract upon which LG&E is still operating and controlling our production of electricity in Louisville.
And I saw Drew Foley had dropped that link in the chat earlier, so I'm just bring it back down and copy and paste that in there again to the Louisville's Energy Future document.
Ooh.
All right. Well, I think we've exhausted our questions, and we covered a lot of good ground today. So I think we'll call the second Green Convene of 2020 our Solar Green Convene. We'll call it to a close. I'd like to thank again all of our panelists. Sarah Lynn, we really have enjoyed working with the Louisville Climate Action Network, putting these green convenes together and delivering them. And of course, Sam, thanks for joining us today. You had some excellent expertise to share, and we're really excited about the work that 100% Real is doing. And to our friends from the Office of Advanced Planning and Sustainability, Gretchen, Julie, and Allison, thank you all so much. Keep up the good work leading that policy charge and leading from the government perspective. Julia, thank you for driving us through today and keeping our technology and in communications on track in our chat. So with that, we'll just say thank you, and everybody have a great Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Michelle, for saving our rear ends when things didn't work well.
Yes.
It takes a village to have a Zoom.
Thanks, everyone. Great job.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye-bye.
Good show, everybody.
Bye.
So.
All right, Michelle, I'm going to hop off. I have a call with Ellen. Nice work. This was fun.
It really was. Yeah. Thank you all.
Okay.
Have a good one.
You too. I'll send out a link when I get it uploaded to our website tomorrow.
Perfect. Sounds good.
All right. Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah. And
Talk to you
anyone
all
who's
soon.
still on, remember to get that ticket for the Sustainability Summit and
Yes.
follow the Louisville Sustainability Council on Facebook.
Yes.
There you go.
Really.
And sustain.
Ellen seconds that, I'm sure. Y'all have a good one.
I see ya.